the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakX. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews. This is Mary Collins from LifeHakX Media, and today I have the pleasure of having Jens Kull online with me today. Hi Jens, how are you?
Hey Mary, all good. Thank you so much. How about yourself?
Well, I'm great. I have this fabulous virtual background, which is a subject that we are going to delve into a little bit today. And for everyone who's interested in where I got this fabulous image from, I got this image from Jens. He asked me to present it as one of his art pieces because that is what we're going to get into today. So art, the metaverse, and more. So right before we get started, Jens, I'm just going to tell everyone a little bit about you.
Sure.
Jens Kull was born into an artist's family in Basel, Switzerland. And after attending University of Basel in ethnology and philosophy, he moved to Mexico City. Where he studied photography, visual effects, and video compositing. A decade ago, he started to delve into virtual reality and managed to become an inspiring source for XR concepts, and has helped sources and companies to move into the age of extended realities. Both private and public contemporary art collections such as Colección FEMSA, Colección Humex, I'm going to do this in the Spanish voice, and Colección José Pinto have purchased his works. And from 2004, he received an International Media Arts Prize in Karlsruhe ZKM, and his work has been purchased by Monterey Biennale, FEMSA, in 2007. His creations and devices have been exhibited in Switzerland, Germany, Denmark, France, Czech Republic, Spain, Italy, Russia, Chile, Brazil, the USA, and Mexico. I mean, hey, this is a wonderful thing. So currently he is working from Switzerland and collaborates with Mexico's oldest gallery, the Galería de Arte Mexicano, GAM, founded by Inz Armour and Diego Rivera in 1936. Jens has a wide network of technologists, musicians, and filmmakers that he nourishes constantly with his refreshing take on aesthetics, storytelling, and beauty. Wow, what a mouthful. Thank you, Jens, for being part of LifeHakX today. And I'm really enthusiastic about getting into the whole, where did this come from? Where are we heading with art? So let's start with, what is it like coming from an artistic family?
Well, thank you, Mary, for this intro. Listening to this is really not representative to 100%, although these snippets really dive into what I've been up to, or what I've been choosing in this life, which has been so far has been very exciting because of technology, I must say. I was born into an artist family. I say that I was born into an artist family because my dad is a cinematographer, but he never worked on the job. He preferred to have a regular paycheck to get us through, and they made a marvelous job in bringing us up. There was always financial stability, and that allowed actually my extension of family to do the artistic endeavors. My granddad was an abstract painter. My grandmom was a ceramic artist, and there's a piece of hers, pineal gland, like artichoke. So and there are paintings in the background of my granddad. Well, I will start with the stuff that has been complicated, and it was always around the emotional output, because in an artist family, what you can actually expect is that artists are always keen on expressing themselves in a way, so they work with their emotions, but they sort of filter them through their output, so to speak. And what was very notorious in my family were the discussions about really deeply going matters. And I remember there was a lot of discussions. There was a lot. I mean, I can say that I come from a financially stable family, but I come from an emotionally unstable family. So that has its consequences. And what I've learned through my granddad is that no matter what, keep on going. Don't feed into your fears. Explore them, and eventually do whatever you have to do in order to get through the swamp. Because we have tools available to put like the glowing stones during our path. So in case we would have to get back and look back, okay, there would be some, you know, some stones on, we can say, oh, that's where I come from. And it sounded a bit like that when you made the intro. Okay, that's what is actually shaping my personality right now. Nevertheless, I'm really in a state right now, or in a situation where I try to shed certain parts of the self by analyzing them and looking at them, and I can reinvent myself every day if I wish to. And that was actually the information I got more than anything from my granddad. He didn't take no from anybody, you know. And he was a very kind person, but also very strict with this vision. And he had just a handful of friends, you know. And that was the part that was most notorious around his personality, that he was really, he was not an easy guy, you know. So it has never been easy, let's say, to grow up with artists in the family, because there were big egos, but he was the one who actually took quite a big step back from that ego, because he worked abstract in an abstract manner.
Wow. Okay. And speaking of forging a path ahead, you ended up in Mexico City. Why Mexico City?
Mexico was the second home of my dad when he was younger. He lived in several countries. Spain, started his career in Spain, did quite some film work in Basel, then in Switzerland in general. And when he moved to Mexico in order to build a company in the mid-60s, he was there for 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, got really sick, and he nearly died in Mexico because of an infection virus. And he came back, survived a disease that normally people die of, but he made it through, met my mom, and had my brother and me. And I grew up with these stones. I could actually show them, since I'm in my dad's home right now, my parents' home. So he had this glass cone of stones, and since I have use of memory, I was always licking these stones when I was a child, and I say I was infected with the Mexican virus then, because these stones came from Tula and from Tenochtitlan, you know, from the Teotihuacan, sorry. He just picked those stones, so expropriated those stones and brought them to Switzerland. And I was always keen on understanding Aztec culture, Mexican culture, or let's say Mesoamerican culture, and all the archaeology around it. I was fascinated by it. Ancient civilizations, I was really keen on understanding more. Egypt also. But when I got to meet a Mexican family and my then future wife, I was really intrigued by the fact that I can just say goodbye to Switzerland and get out of the squared way of growing up, let's say, which was great. But on the other hand, it was too squared for me, and I chose to get out of the country as soon as possible and chose Mexico City because it's just such a vibrant city, and I was fascinated in the first 5 minutes landing in this metropolis. Although it was opening up this amplitude between chaos and order, that's exactly what I was looking for. So Mexico has been incredibly vibrant, and its people are, just it's fascinating how they shape their daily lives.
Right. Okay. So finding that opposite attraction with the structure of Switzerland and the creative chaos of Mexico. Okay. How has your art evolved over the years?
I've always had a flair for video, the moving image. I started with photography, but since video got an upgrade over the years with resolution and the professional realm got extended into actually filmmaking, became video filming in a sense that the sensors became so refined that the distinction between digital film and video, it kind of fused together in the first years of the 2000s. And I would say the development is based on the digital advancements and of computing imagery and multi-layering, and all this happens on a two-dimensional screen back in the years. I remember very well when I arrived to Mexico, my then neighbor and good friend Charlie, he showed me what he was doing on a post-production field, and it was 1 year in my stay in Mexico, and I got the huge chance to learn that software he was using, and I would say that the main evolution happened on my side, that I was using software differently. Let's say you have a software that's dedicated for multi-compositing for commercials and film. And what I did is I just had a different approach, and I was trying stuff, and that was actually always the beginning. It was the beginning of experimenting with soft and hardware in a way probably just a handful of people would actually move themselves to try.
LifeHakX.com. That's with a K and an X.
Right.
So that's my main evolution, and that part has been driving me to find things, because I dare to look in corners where others probably it's not interesting for them, but for me it is. So.
Right. And so in that sense, we jump into the metaverse, which is this mixture of regular reality and depth. Would it be dimensions? What would you say the metaverse is? What does it mean for artists?
Well, it is definitely a space of a congregation in the digital realm, and I would call it the word metaverse is unfortunately is a bit abused through Sugar Mountain, through Zuckerberg. I mean, he has a vision. There's no doubt about that. But metaverse is coined way earlier, So it is related to the idea of being in a space which is three-dimensional and convincingly real, actually, or let's say a space of digital exploration. For me, the metaverse is a place of exploration, because you can build really quickly, and you do that with others. And there are thousands of metaverses right now, and there is no such thing as the metaverse.
Right.
I wouldn't use this word anymore, but really having a clickbait, and I had to use it because then people might understand better where I do my work and how I work with programs and software from within virtual reality or augmented reality. I would just really stick to the wording of virtual reality or augmented reality or mixed reality. The metaverse is merely the space where everything comes together, ideally, but it's not yet happening to a degree where we can hop from world to world or from, let's say, from application to application. And that union is starting to happen, but until we can seamlessly change from VR chat with our avatar to I don't know, Blue Planet VR or other programs or Google Earth, you know, until we can do that and change and still have the notion of being under one umbrella, having everything under one umbrella and being interconnected in these worlds, then we would start to talk about the metaverse.
Right. Okay. And so, but what is this new technology? For instance, there's this term floating around now called NFTs, you know, and a lot of people have no idea what are NFTs. So, you know, for example, you're selling NFTs right now. What are they? How does it work?
An NFT is a non-fungible token. It means that it denominates the ownership of an artistic creation or of whatever creation. It doesn't have to be artistic. It can also refer to a natural resource. It can refer to a tree, a plant. You can actually make NFTs on the go. You can mint whatever object or concept around an NFT. And since it's non-repeatable, then it would be called fungible token, like a dollar, which is actually not the same either. It's there are individual dollars, but a dollar is considered $1 everywhere in the world, although the number on the bill is actually different. But it's one of the examples people use in order to explain the difference between fungible and non-fungible. I mention the non-fungibility because we are now able to have a blockchain-related ledger that describes provenance. For instance, the triptych you have in your back consists of 3 still images of a virtual reality world I created, and each and every picture I took in that world as with a virtual camera in from within VR, I could mint each and every image as a non-fungible token and then make an addition out of it by just defining the metadata, what this work consists of. And I can put a price tag on, and it's always going to be related to my creation or to, let's say, to the artist. And that's the big value. I don't think that we should get lost in the fact that a lot of people earned a lot of money with this NFT hype that has been happening. For me, the more important thing is that artists really get paid, although their work is being speculated with, because what we can do is we can put down in the NFT a contract of a secondary sale, for instance, and the third sale and the fourth and the fifth sale. So let's say you would buy an NFT of mine, of this triptych in the back. I would sell it for X amount of Ethereum, and then you decide after 2 years, oh, Jens has been doing great with his art career, and I have 3 NFTs of him, or 4, and I will sell one to whoever will buy it, but instead of X amount of Ethereum I paid for, I will ask for more. And of your earnings, let's say of the money you get in, I could still get a 30%, and it will happen automatically. So that is the big advantage of an NFT, because as long as I have a wallet, or my children who will inherit my wallet one day if I'm leaving this body, then the work that is being sold on and collected and going to different collectors after the initial sale will still give me a revenue. So the speculation is not only on behalf, it's not only favoring the speculator or the collector, it's also helping the artist furthermore to survive. And that has been very critical in the art history, that the artists have not gotten enough money and the works have been speculated with, and you as an artist never saw a dime of it. And that's changing right now.
Right. So that is the thing, is that a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin and minting and all the rest of it as a new form of currency that supposedly cuts out the middleman, which is what I think governments are trying to like moozle in on now, because that was the whole point, like you said, with an artist, that by the time you pay for the gallery or they take their cut and you pay for everything else, it's like, what's going on here? And that's why a lot of people think, well, why is certain things so expensive? And it's like, because you have the gallery to pay for, and you have this to pay for, and you have that to pay for. In this virtual world, in theory, so you're saying like it's non-tangible, so non-fungible, sorry. So does that mean that like one copy is one copy and that's it in theory? Okay.
Well,
and
yes,
that's
in theory.
Right, because I was going to say, like there's going to always be someone who's going to figure a way, unfortunately, around these things. But at least the most important thing is that right now, the artist is being paid directly, which means, which is an advantage, because that's what we want to do. We want to support these artists who have their creative visions, who go to all this trouble, because it is a lot of work. A lot of people think digital, is it really as difficult as painting or whatever? Of course it is, because you put together, so behind me here are these images, like you said, of a virtual reality. But do you create all the things that are going on in this virtual reality and then you screenshot them with a virtual camera, correct?
Yes.
And so are these ones here still shot? These are still shots, but the ones in your virtual reality, are they still, or are they moving?
They are moving partially. So there are certain brushes that have generative, they have an animation to it. Interestingly enough, if you combine this with music, if you feed in music into the virtual space, the animation is going to behave differently, because it is fed by rhythm or certain sound structures. It can be interesting. So that's a part I'm really deeply involved with, because I have the notion that there is the real there's there is the nugget, because when we were setting up this call, you were saying about your endeavors in hypnotherapy. What would hypnotherapy be without having a good audio? And I agree so much on that, because if we take away everything and close our eyes and even stop focusing on what we feel with our tactile sense, the audio is at least in my case, in my experience, is provoking me so much vision and opening up of dimensions. I can imagine it's helping my imagination so much to get something on the canvas, or let's say into the multiverse. And now I'm using the word multiverse because I think that's a better way of using the term or the terminology. So what is interesting here is that audio will always guide me, at least, into a realm where I become incredibly imaginative, and getting a certain animation out of a sound, which is a vibration. And if we break down things in this world and can say everything is vibration, that's where the nugget is at. And if we start to really listen to and really look, I'm not good at it, I'm becoming better and better throughout life, and that's maybe one of my main topics in life, to really to really groom an aesthetics around looking at things. What do I see? How do I see things? And then what thought or what emotion I detonate based on what I see and what I hear, what comes in vibrationally. That's for me, that's the actually that's the main topic.
Right. Okay. And so when you're talking about the fact that you've got where some of your NFTs can move and change with vibration, with music, in a way, it's living art, isn't it? So someone who's purchasing that, they can purchase a still, but they can also purchase a video form of your art.
Yes. Normally, I connect to the. Actually, I have multi-deliverables, and maybe that's something that I brought in from. I'm not the only one, I know that for sure, because the first NFTs that had appeared and became really of value were slide animations, GIF animations, you know. So, well, I was never very fond of them because it was just really limiting. Having a Bored Ape, okay, it's cool. If you own one, well, great, you know, because it blew up, and it was more a cultural phenomenon, a digital culture phenomenon. And but what I'm really looking into is the possibility of having multiple deliverables on an art topic. So I normally deliver the still image. You can print. I also deliver a print sometimes, or the print comes with the NFT that contains several other digital deliverables, such as a video with music. Normally, I edit stuff, and so there is a topic I'm exploring with camera moves and colors and shapes, and actually the animations we just were talking about. So you hear the music that's playing, and the brushes are moving in a way that is based on the music of that particular part of the tune I'm using, and I collaborate a lot with musicians on behalf of that. That's actually where I come from. I just explore an abstract space with music of my friends and collaborators, and I think it's for me it's just following the path that has already been announced through my grandfather. So I have epigenetically this kind of this field of investigation, I have it in my blood, and I feel it's easy for me. And let's say not easy, but it's I'm just very interested in it because I saw it through my whole childhood, how he is exploring a continent that yeah, he wanted to see more about, you know.
Well, yeah, and the fact that, I mean, beings are mostly audio or visual, and to combine these two things, you know, in itself is such an expression of art and such an expression of being human, being an animal even. I mean, animals have the same rhythmic background in their amygdala that we have, like the same instincts and emotions based on beats and all the rest of it. So it makes perfect sense to combine audio and visual side of art, you know. So a very exciting idea. What would be your top advice on anyone getting started in collecting NFTs or non-fungible?
I couldn't give you an advice that's based on you know, on a financial prosperity. I would rather go for things as a collector that I'm deeply interested in as a collector. So I would not get into NFTs because I would want to make a big buck in a short time. You can do that. That's not the problem. I think it's less and less now the goal of NFTs to really make big money and hype things up, because honestly, the projects and products that have been coming out of the NFT space, they are close to being a fad, at least in the collective perception of this very new crypto way of selling art. For me, it's really a long-term thing. So you will find artists that are exactly up your alley as a collector, whether it's performative arts or even theater in VR, or it doesn't have to be immersive, or you just want to support your artist friend because you know what she or he is going through from within the endeavor, artistic endeavor, and you want to support her or him, and that's something I would rather focus on, because that's how I've been doing it. I've bought just a few NFTs of friends, and I'm very proud of having these artworks in my wallet. There's not a lot. I was very selective, and maybe in 10 years they are worth 10 times more. But I didn't buy those because I wanted to make a profit on it. I bought those in order to support my fellow artists, and that, I think, that's the new thing about helping each other going through difficult times, especially financially speaking, and show support to an artist friend or someone you're fond of, or the work of a person you're fond of. I would go in that direction. Look for something that you're passionate about, and then purchase an NFT after taking a deep look how much he or she is producing, whether it's something that will be still compelling to you in 10 years. Because if you just have an image that's costing you $1,000 and you know, you're in for the big buck, you can do that, but then it's not really helping the industry, I would say, or the art. Actually, what I see is there is a democratization happening around investment in art, and the younger generations will probably have an easier approach to buying art through NFTs. And go the way where your passion is at. If you love manga, then look for manga artists that have NFTs and support them. But go with the real people, and that's the advantage we have now with NFTs. We can really look where it comes from. The provenance is pretty clear, although you can still falsify everything. But then on the other hand, why would you want to do that? Because we evolve as a humanity. We have to evolve. We, you know, and trust me, I have trouble myself with being 100% in my power all the time, you know, and being accurate and truthful, and you know, just yeah, thinking with the heart.
Right. Well, I mean, that's really important what you're saying, because I mean, I've spoken to friends and they're like, oh, there's DALL-E and there's all these AIs and they can do all the work. They can write the blogs for you. They can create the art for you. They can do this. And I'm like, we're in a digital renaissance. And I'm interested and appreciative that, yes, AI is maybe getting smarter and maybe doing more for us, but it's almost like the candy man. It's like you're gonna have that candy that's easy, and ultimately it's going to harm you in the end. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make you addicted. It's going to make you fat or whatever. It's not necessarily a good thing just because AI is doing a lot of the work for us. Because the more that AI does the work for us, the more we are unable to be creative or do anything for ourselves. I was having a conversation with a young person the other day, and they even admitted it. They're like, is there going to be creative people? There will be less creative people for the last generation that's up and coming, because they are just fed constantly with media and television and all this stuff. And there's no creative thinking. So with this digital renaissance, it is so important to support real people, real artists, and with real feeling, with real emotion. Why do you support this person? Because you know them. Why do you support this person? Because you just like what you feel when you see that art, which you feel, visualize, if there's audio included, whatever. That is why we have to do this, because this is a renaissance. This is a digital revolution, but it should be based on human beings.
This is very, very nicely put together. I think you have a very strong point here. And yes, my hopes are there, truly. That the input we are actually suffering from, because it's rather a new way of suffering to, and I'm not excluding myself. I am overwhelmed by the possibilities that is at our fingertip with these devices, and to be truly inspired is probably becoming a topic. So we might be a bit more careful in the next few years where inspiration comes from. And just starting off with the influencing thing. Why would I want to be influenced if I can be inspired? And
right.
and I mean, influence. Yeah, okay. Now today I'm gonna have a vegetable broth done in my kitchen because I saw someone preparing a vegetable broth, and it was probably someone who did it for the first time and made a YouTube video out of it, and I got a glimpse of it. Yeah, that can be influential, But the true inspiration, that is something that doesn't even come with words. I have the notion. So to get into the space oftentimes has to do with truly allowing oneself to perceive and to feel. And then nature is doing it's playing its role, and you align to that, and then yeah, I think there's just a more organic way of becoming inspired instead of being influenced.
Well, I love that. That's a fantastic quote that belongs to Jens Kull, everyone. Why be influenced when you can be inspired? So with that, for finding you, to contact you, to follow you, this will all be posted on LifeHakX Media's website and social media links as well. For anyone who would be interested in knowing more about NFTs, especially ones that combine visual and audio, and just a little bit more about Jens and his background, his family's background, you're more than welcome to check him out on lifehakx.com. Thank you, Jens, so much for being on the show today. We look forward to having you on more as you progress with your digital renaissance.
Thank you so much, Mary. It was a pleasure and always will be.
LifeHakX.com. That's with a K and an X.